Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning to the channel, thank you for coming back, and thank you for the likes and the subscribes and the comments you've been leaving. I see everything and I appreciate it so much. Today's video is going to be about, first of all, an energy that is showing up in my meditation today, just in front of me constantly here. The sword of truth. And this is all around and to do with this lunar eclipse in Pisces, which happens tonight. By the way, it's a blood moon, red looking. It already has been red looking, evidently, to a lot of people. The eclipse itself takes place, depending on where you are, at 9:12 tonight, August 27th. On the Pacific coast, but if you're in Eastern Daylight Time or Eastern Standard Time, it will be 12:12 a.m. on the 28th. So it takes place in the U.S. Right over the turn of the 27th into the 28th of August, and it will be quite visible all throughout our hemisphere, North and South America. And it lasts about an hour total, maybe actually a little over an hour total time. So let's talk about this today in terms of the sword of truth and what this eclipse means and how you're going to be experiencing this energy directly in your own life, in your own experience. So first of all, eclipses, lunar eclipses like this, are always an ending of this full-blown energy that's been going on. This particular energy is Pisces. Pisces, the sign of Pisces, it's all about intuition and feeling and the greater reality that holds all the little all the sort of focused realities and stories that are held within the greater reality. Think of sort of an ocean of consciousness. Everything is there. Everything is true. There are no paths or walls or barriers in the water itself. So, and Pisces, of course, is very much associated with water. The thing is that that very same intuitive, everything is true and nothing is true, infinite possibility with no clarity or boundary, which is all Piscean flow, can also be blurry and murky. People with too much of that element that isn't properly balanced with other energies can be very prone to delusion, illusion, confusion, just not able to get enough boundary, what I call the Saturn energy, to sort of get a clear picture of anything. And so, you know, it can be associated with, like I said, illusion, delusion, mental illness, whatever. So that's that energy of Pisces. The thing is, we've been on since late 2024 on this axis. When this happens, we're on an axis. The moon is, for this full moon that's being eclipsed, in Pisces. It is directly opposite the sun in Virgo. What is Virgo? Virgo is the exact opposite. It's detailed. This is what is true. This is what is practical. It's the material. It's the physical. It's the exact opposite of blurry. Everything is true. Nothing is true. It's this is what's true. This is what's true. Analysis, detail, very, very focused on the practical and the physical. So we've been on this axis of those energies since late 2024. This eclipse ends the Piscean Virgo axis, and we are about to then flip into the Leo Aquarius axis, which I'll talk about and what that will mean in just a moment. For right now, let's focus. We're on this Pisces Virgo axis. It's ending right now, tonight at, if you're on the Pacific coast, 9:12 p.m. tonight, the 27th. The sword of truth. Why is this energy showing itself to me just like that all morning? Because what this ends is the blurriness the inability to distinguish what's real and what isn't. Look at what we've been going through since late 2024, where you literally can't tell what's real. All these AI deep fakes. You see film footage, you can't tell if it's real or not. You hear people's voices, it sounds very real, but you don't know if it's the real thing or not. There's all kinds of information on social media and on the news, and it's so easy to think it sounds real, but you don't know anymore what's real. What are the facts? Are these just the facts that I'm hearing through my closed loop algorithm? Yes. And the mainstream, media news on television, they're not reporting most of what's really going on. And they're not trying to anymore in an accurate way. They can't. Things have gotten so blurred and corrupted to where no one knows what to think or believe anymore, which is why you see all these stories, not just about what's going on, politically and in the world, but just stories about what our history is as humans, what the human history is. The idea that we were created by aliens or that we were created to be slaves, all these stories going around. The ending of this cycle is the sword of truth, cutting through in your individual consciousness, mine, in our collective consciousness, so that we are able to discern what is true. And I don't mean just who really won the election in 2020 or whatever it is. I'm talking about what is true, soul's truth, discerning what feels and vibrates like, yes, I am spirit, I am soul. This vibrates as yes. This doesn't feel very good. This doesn't feel like it's coming from this place. So, let me back up and say, what is this place where soul's truth really resides? When we're in the fourth dimensional band, and third, but most of us, especially you all listening here, we've all been in the fourth dimensional band for a long time. And that band is an octave. I mean, there can be lower, middle, very, very high, moving into fifth dimensional. Fourth dimensional is still in the box. It's still, well, this is what's true. Well, now this bigger story of the ETs coming and what they're doing, now I know what's true. No, you're still in a box of story. Does that make sense? We're still in that dimension, coming from managing the details and maybe having some fear about how the details are going to affect us, and maybe still some feeling of this is what's going on and I'm vulnerable to it. Those kinds of things. When we move into that higher, pure light, love, joy, creativity consciousness that we really are in our true, authentic soul's being, we are still unique. My personal focus and intentions and creative abilities and talents, all of those things, interests, are different than yours. But we are, each of us, you and I and everyone else, we are individualized focuses of the one consciousness, source, God, all that is, whatever word you like. There is one consciousness, and that one consciousness is creating and experiencing itself electromagnetically through your individualized perception and world that you create and experience in your unique reality. And it is creating and experiencing electromagnetically through my individualized focus point of perception and the reality, the paradigm of reality that I'm creating and experiencing. And every single other person we see out there is another version of, another aspect of I, the greater I, the one consciousness, experiencing itself electromagnetically through myriad individualized focal points of creativity and experience. Myriad. But we are all one consciousness. When we're in that higher consciousness, we can embody that and not only understand it intellectually, but start feeling it, understanding it really. That everyone you see around you is you living and creating from their individualized, unique, wonderful perspective, just as you are. And there is nothing out there to fear, because we're each creating our own version of the reality and our version of how we experience it. So there's no boogeymen out there or circumstances out there that are going to come get us and hurt us. It's all what we're projecting and creating for ourselves. There is literally nothing out there that you experience, that I experience, that is separate as you are writing it for yourself. It's like you are this consciousness writing your own story or creating your own 3D painting, and you're the one putting in the characters and the events that go on. And that's why I keep saying all the time now, give yourself what feels good. Always be giving yourself what feels good. And I'm seeing, I don't deserve, that's all old stuff here. You are the God consciousness learning that you create your reality and how direct and literal it is. So give yourself what feels good. So the reason I'm pounding on this, that I'm always pounding on first, is the sword of truth, discernment, what is true. As you are clicking on YouTubes, reading books, hearing from spiritual teachers, in many cases, and astrologers, the sword of truth is discernment, to be able to distinguish, how does this information they're sharing feel to me? How is this feeling? Is what they're saying affirming to me that I am good in my being, that I am source consciousness with endless creative empowerment and ability to live my light, love, and joy and create what feels like my light, love, and joy? Is what this person is sharing helping me to feel that? Or is what this person is sharing, am I starting to feel like, oh, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not doing enough, or there's someone else kind of setting the program and controlling this a little bit for me? Anytime you start feeling that, that's your red flag. Even the most well-intended teachers of spiritual matters and astrology, etc., can still be sort of stuck down in the fourth dimension, in the fourth dimensional thinking of, well, yeah, but there's this box, and they haven't quite risen out of it into unlimited love, light, joy, creativity. There doesn't have to be anything there that doesn't feel good unless I put it there. It's the true empowerment over your own reality. There is nothing or no one putting controls on our experience or where our collective consciousness goes. Guys, I sit in meditation with this and with the higher dimensionals, tracking this stuff to the source every morning. And I can tell you that you and I, sitting here looking at each other right now, we are in another higher part of ourselves. Not only are we ascended masters and oversouls and everything, we are creators. There's a group called The Creators that Daniel Scranton channels sometimes. Well, guess what? In a part of our multidimensional consciousness, we are the creators. You and I, in some part of ourselves, are creating that an earth physical universe paradigm with ETs, Arcturians, and Pleiadians even exists. And it's there for us to come play in like this 3D light painting or Play-Doh, where we get to come in and start consciously creating in this physical universe medium, just as if you were an artist that's learning how to, for the first time, paint or sculpt with some new material. We are consciousness artists, and we are learning to create and paint and sculpt with light, love, joy, and creativity, what feels coherent with our true soul's light and unique creativity. Each of us, one of those focal points of the one source God consciousness. So again, anybody that you turn on that starts making it feel to you like yeah, but there's a box I'm in, or someone else had something to do with this and some control, and I can only go so far. Listen to that feeling. Just understand that that person, I don't care who they are. I don't care how famous of an astrologer they are, how much wonderful, wise things they've taught and said that you've really respected. As soon as you start getting that feeling of being boxed in unintentionally, they're still in that fourth dimensional box. They haven't lifted out into the pure love, light, creative joy, freedom, space yet. On that note, one astrologer particularly that absolutely is always in the love, light, joy, creative empowerment, infinite possibility, in my opinion, is Pam Gregory. And she just did a very wonderful 20-minute video on this lunar eclipse in Pisces. So I recommend that you check that out. There are also a couple of good videos just about the energy of the lunar eclipse in Pisces, and particularly the ones that say what that means for your sign. And they'll go through all 12 astrological signs and talk about how you and your sign may feel that. And there's one that I liked pretty well that was about which house in your personal chart. Where does 4 degrees Pisces land in your natal chart? In mine, it's the, I'm right on the 10th, 11th house cusp, but it's early 11th house. And so, you know, where is this ending of the blurring going to show up most strongly for you? And for me, it'll be in this being present out in the world's eye, and what you are socially out in the world, that kind of thing. But anyway, you can look at your own chart wherever in your natal chart your 4 to 5 degrees Pisces lands, which house, that's the area of your life that you would tend to experience that in. So back to the sword of truth. Right. The sword of truth is that soul's ability to discern, this feels like boxing in my light and my love and my joy. And a question to ask yourself about this person as you're listening. And again, I don't care who it is, and I'm not going to mention names, but people that are really well known and usually quite good, and usually very wise, can still, whether they know they're doing it or not, start putting cages and boxes on us. You can ask yourself, what is this person vibrating with? Is this person vibrating still in the area of shoulds and expectations, and this is the way you do it? Or this is what has to happen, and there's other forces affecting my reality that I don't have any control over? Does it feel like that's kind of where they still are? Or does it feel like they're really out of what I call getting above the cloud deck, you know, when your jet goes up above and you're just clear skies, just pure light, love, joy, creativity, endless creative empowerment. It's joy, it's love. You're not going to be doing nasty, destructive things from there. That's the whole point. That's the 5th dimensional energy, consciousness level. So when you get that feeling of, ask yourself, is that person still vibrating in that area? So real quick here, then let me just touch on this Leo Aquarius axis that we are moving into. And I'm not an astrologer. I don't know the date of when that axis changes again. But for at least a year, maybe pushing 2 years, we'll be in this Leo Aquarius. The sign of Leo is the sign of personal joy, creativity, expressing yourself, just being out there, being you. It is all about you expressing your true, authentic being and joy. And I've said this in other videos, when someone's a Leo, often it's pretty visible that they're a Leo. They're out there, they're presenting themselves sometimes, very often. They need to sort of be the center of attention. Madonna is a great example. Now, Donald Trump is not a Leo, but his ascendant is Leo. What a surprise. Boom. How do you present in the world? Here I am, look at me, I'm the center. So that's Leo. And it's self-centered, so to speak. On the astrological chart, the axis, which is not an opposite energy, it's one is self-oriented, one is community social oriented, would be Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign of freedom, personal expression, but freedom, rebellion against societies and communities being controlled by something else. It's sovereignty. It's bringing your being and your gifts to the whole of which you are a part. And so that idea tracks very well back to the video I did not too long ago about the little drummer boy energy, which is, this is who I am, what I do. I am good. I do and offer what I am in love. And the world around me enjoys it and benefits from it. It's doing and being your joy, your truth, and your collective environment benefiting from that. It's what you bring to the community, being your true, authentic, joyful self. And so they're very much obviously the same energy, but one is very, it's all about me and what I'm doing and being seen. And out here, it's all about me being me and flowing it into my collective for the good of myself and all around me. That's the axis we're moving to. So what you already may be experiencing, I certainly have, and we're going to really feel it here, is going to be this really pretty sudden clarity, and anything that was murking around and obscuring clarity and freedom and joy and expression in our personal lives, like in being honest with ourselves about what we really think and feel, truly what we really would like to see, what would feel good to us in our personal lives. We're going to see it in relationships, in terms of if there's any relationships out there that have purported to be loving friendship relationships, but if it's really not, you're going to see it and know it and understand it and make choices about it from there. There's going to be more and more coming out in terms of clarity about what's going on with world governments and money and who's manipulating who and who's lying and trying to manipulate everybody else for their own gain. Pam Gregory talks about it in terms of integrity. If something isn't in integrity, it's going to start showing up right now because of this sword of truth energy, this Piscean murk and blur being ended and things coming very crystal clear, but as seen from this higher, expanded, light-filled perspective. No longer lost down, what I call being down in the weeds in that fourth dimensional space. So this eclipse is all about ending all the murk and the blur and the confusion and moving into our truest, most joy-filled, authentic expression of our unique, authentic love and light as we spool it out into the world and have the highest, best experience of ourselves as unique individuals and benefit the whole of which we are a part. So we all may experience some kind of endings, whether it's actual endings of things that suddenly in this clarity we realize they're not our true joy. They don't feel good. Things in our lives, it could be where we live. It could be a career choice. It could be friends or a partner that ends. Or it could be the end of one era of that relationship or that career or where you were living and moving into a new version of it. But again, at all times, it's going to have to do with your authentic, joyful expression being the best gift, your service to the world, to the environment which you are creating and inhabiting. So I hope something I said today was helpful to you. If so, please remember to click like, subscribe, ask questions, leave comments. And I invite you to visit my website, kathyhazeladams.com, and also to visit my Patreon page, Kathy Hazel Adams Quantum Spirit. There's so much there that is free to anybody to access. You don't have to be a member of my Patreon page, even on a free basis, to see a lot of it. And you can get information about the monthly spirit talks and mid-month meditations that I do every month, along with the lights, live intensive group healing transformational sessions that I do every month. So have a most magical day. I hope you're able to see the eclipse, enjoy, and just notice what's different, and notice how things are just, the murk is falling away from your eyes and you're gaining clarity, and things that don't belong anymore are just going to be cleaned away with the sword of truth.